Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 24 playthrough of the Buffalo Wings. We have just completed spring training, 15, 10, and 5 record for the Wings, so performed much more competitively. Now, the goal in a couple days is to see how competitive this team can be on the field during the regular season. This will be our third season in the major leagues with the Wings. We won 71 games our first year and only improved to 72 wins our second year. We're hoping for much more significant improvement than that last season and certainly expect the team to be above 500 this year. And if we're above 500, hopefully that means that we are playing meaningful games in late September, at least competing for one of the 4 wildcard spots in the National League. Since our last episode, we have kind of finalized what we want the lineups and the pitching staff to look like. We had already cut down to our 26 players, but we are going to go with a couple of stoppers. Javier Atencio, last year's closer, who's a left-hander, with a right-handed closer now, and Devin Williams, who we brought on a trade with the Dodgers. Atencio is going to be a stopper in the 8th inning in close games. And then Emerson Talavera, a right-hander who we brought on in a trade last year, is going to be our stopper in the 7th inning and in close games. So potentially, righty, lefty, righty over the last 3 innings if we get 6 innings out of a starter. Other than that, I don't think there's anything too interesting as far as the roles in the bullpen. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. The lineups worked out a bit interesting. It's one of the issues with our team last year was poor defense. That being said, we also had pretty poor offense and pretty poor pitching, so we were pretty poor in just about every aspect of the game. And I had really wanted to improve the defense. And I think in some cases, in some decisions we made this offseason, I did. But using the rosters that bench coach Martinez had recommended to me as a framework and then changing them somewhat, I've come up with a lineup against right-handed pitching. So theoretically, the lineup that we're going to be using much more often than not over the course of the season, that I think has improved a lot offensively from last year, but leaves a couple potential defensive holes that I don't love. And we'll talk about those right now. Deshaun Seifu at second, we like. Marcelo Meyer, the new addition at shortstop, we like. Vance Honeycutt, who was a first baseman last year, is going to play center field in this lineup. He's got 60 range and a 60 error rating, which to me is borderline-ish for someone that you'd want to be a starting center fielder. But his bat is just so good that I want to kind of ensure that we get him into the lineup. And it's really about getting bats into the lineup. That is why Michel Blaise is not playing center field, despite his much better error rating and his better arm rating than Honeycutt at this point. Because if we move Honeycutt to center field, then we can get the rookie Samuel Basallo in at DH. He hit 34 homers last year between AA and AAA. Really interested in seeing what he can do. Jace Barofin, who's at 24 homers each of his first 2 years in the majors, then bats 5th. And then we get Nick York into the lineup playing left field. This is another guy who I don't love defensively. He's got 40 range, 50 error, 50 arm. But he hit 315 in Albany last year, 287 at the major league level, 30 homers combined between those levels, hit 292 in the majors for us in 2026. And then we've got Takao Ota, who we picked up as a free agent this last season. Another guy who does not bring much to the table defensively at first base. but we think could definitely hit some home runs for us. Then Kevin Made, who's moved from short to third, not much offensively, but he is good defensively. And then Sean Murphy, a very good defensive catcher. So I kind of feel that at catcher, third, short, second, and right field, we are above average to good to borderline excellent defensively. But center field, we're kind of the bare minimum that I'd be willing to put out there. Left field, we're definitely weak. And first base, we are not great either defensively. The way the lineup shakes out against left-handed pitching, we move Honeycutt to DH, move York to first base, put in Bo Bichette in left field, and then Miguel Blaze comes in and plays center field. So we are a much better defensive team against left-handed pitching. It'll be interesting to see how this works. There's certainly options for us to make the defense better. Blaze, and obviously one, you move him to center, potentially move Vance Honeycutt to left, and then we have to decide between Oda, Basallo, and York which two of the three would stay in the lineup at first base and DH, but that would be a kind of obvious path to make the lineup a little bit better defensively. But right now, our offense was pretty putrid last year as well, and I think this lineup at least gives us a chance to potentially score some runs. And the last thing we've done since our last episode, and we're still on the same day we were at that last episode, is we've tried to make a couple of offers to lock up some of our younger talent for the longer term. Jace Barofin was the first round draft pick in the history of our organization. As I talked about earlier, hit 24 homers each of his first 2 years in the majors, has been an above average offensive player. I think as this team gets better, he probably, in an ideal situation, moves towards a fourth outfielder type of role rather than someone who's batting right in the middle of our lineup. But I think that there's still some value there. And his arbitration numbers in the next few years were going to be 2, 3, and 4 million. We've made an offer for an extension to him that I'll talk about shortly. More importantly, perhaps, we've also made an offer to Marcelo Meyer, who we picked up in that big trade with the Red Sox. He's making over $15 million this year, expected to make about $20 next year in arbitration, and then he's going to be a free agent, given how much we gave up for him and given the importance of having a good defensive shortstop who's also a good offensive player, which he certainly has been over the course of his career. Really want to get him locked up as well. And when we first brought him on board, he was looking for about $38 million a year for an extension. We checked in with him recently, and he was willing to talk for about $32 million a year for an extension. And we actually have made him an offer for even less than that. 17 years, $194 million. So buying out potentially this last arbitration year coming up, and then several years after that, and we're kind of in a $27.5, $28 million kind of range with what we've offered to him, and he's willing to at least think about it. And then you can see here with Jace Barofin, offering him about $4.7 million over 6 years to buy out 3 years of arbitration eligibility as well as 3 years of free agency. So I think both of those would be good deals if we can get them done. And there's one more that I'm going to try to do now. This one might be a little early, but as those of you who have been watching the series know, I love my Deshaun Seifu, the former first overall pick in 2026. I think he is a potentially incredibly dynamic offensive player. He's a very different offensive player than you would typically try to build around, or than I would typically try to build around in OOTP. Love to have a guy with great home run power and a great eye, and he is kind of the opposite of that with no home run power and a below average eye. but he is borderline exceptional in his contact, his gap power, and avoiding strikeouts. His speed is incredible. His infield defense is getting better. He's versatile and he can play a solid to hopefully someday well above average defense at multiple positions in the infield. And he's also a durable guy who I think is going to be out there every day. Last year, he was up for the final 3.5 months of the season or so, and all he did in 88 games was lead the National League with 15 triples and also steal 59 bases in 64 attempts while batting over 300. And I think he has improved his contact and is avoiding strikeouts since last season. So there's reason to think he could be even better this year. So I envision him as a perennial 300 hitter who can probably hit 40, 45, 50 doubles and 15 to 20 triples. I mean, based on his production last year, you could argue he's going to hit 25 triples one of these seasons, which would be just incredible. Our park does slightly favor extra base hits, and it does slightly disadvantage home runs, so his profile actually plays somewhat favorably in our home park, which helps. I would love to get him locked up for the long term. And when I offered him a contract extension, with the way that his service time has been, he still has 5 more years under our control because although he's spent part of the last 2 years in the majors, he's only got 121 days of service time. So when I try to look for a 10-year contract for him, it's 180 million, 18 million a year. Not necessarily a bad deal, but one that isn't necessarily as great value as something slightly shorter. Because 9 years, he's still looking at that 18 million a year. But when we drop it to 8, you can see he's willing to go for a long-term demand that's not the average of 18 million a year. He wants the 18 million a year after those arbitration years. So next year he'd be certainly making more than the minimum that he's expected to make, but then the next 4 arbitration years after that are roughly in line to where his arbitration estimates are right now. And I think if he plays the way I expect he can, that those arbitration estimates could go up. And then to get 3 potential free agency years at 18 million a year, while I'd love to get him locked up for 9, 10, 12 years, the fact that you're just having to pay out 18 million a year for these first 5 years to get there and make him happy makes it a lot less cost effective. And this still carries us well through his prime. We'll obviously have we'll hopefully have a big decision to make in 2036, 37 off season if we get him signed, when he still probably has several good years ahead of him and maybe looking for insane money. But he says this number would probably work for him. I might try to extend it 1 more year, or try to save a little bit of money on it. But to me, 98 million over 8 years gives him the assurity of life-changing money if he falls off or gets injured. But it also potentially, pays what we think we're going to owe him roughly on his next 5 years through minimum salaries and arbitration. And then we get 3 free agent years at 18 million-ish a year, which I think is a great bargain. Potentially, if he lives up to what we think he's going to be. And I like this potential contract so much that I'm not going to mess with it too much. I'm dropping his 29 season by 2 million to 16 and his age 30 season by 1 million to 17. So he's looking for 98.2 over 8 years. We're offering him 95.2 over 8 years. And he's willing to think about it. So we'll find out over the next few days what happens with these offers to 3 potentially very important parts of our future. The only real long-term commitments we have right now are to Ohtani and Painter, Hayden Yinger, I guess at that money is a bit of a commitment because we've got him for 4 more years, including this year, even though the Blue Jays, who are not competitive, just wanted to get his overpriced contract off the books, so they kept a big chunk of it. But clearly, if we're able to get Marcelo Meyer, Jace Barofin, and of course Deshaun Seifu signed to longer term extensions, that really starts building out the framework of what this team is going to really be for the next several years. And then we'll kind of have a lot more certainty about our financial situation when we get into free agency and we start trying to sign other players to long-term contracts. You know, another one at some point that we're probably going to want to think about is Vance Honeycutt, who had a really nice rookie year for us as well last year. Came up around the same time as Seifu, hit 276 with 16 homers and 22 steals in 85 games. His OPS plus and his WRC plus were even higher than Seifu's were, so he's a guy we'd certainly like to potentially get locked up as well. But we'll take it step by step and see what happens with these first 3 guys over the next few weeks. And we've made it to opening day. Ownership has the same expectation we do of playing better than 500 ball. Jace Barofin says he's looking for more money. He was willing to listen to that deal, and it was basically what he had asked for, so that's a little bit surprising. He's clearly the least important of those 3 to get locked up. He's looking for 6 years at an average of like 7.5 a year. Yeah, he's looking for more in his free agent years than I think we really want to pay him right now. We still got control of him for several years to come. He's making the minimum still this year, and then he's got 3 arbitration years ahead of him. And those arbitration years actually they've gone up a lot since the start. I guess I looked at these guys when it was a good time to be looking at them, because literally 3 or 4 days ago at the end of spring training when I made that offer to him, those numbers were like 2.3, 4.5, and like 6.3, 6.4. So his arbitration numbers and his expectations have gone dramatically up since we made that offer. So that probably explains why he refused it. Fortunately, it looks like Meyer's arbitration number went down a little, and Seifu's are kind of right in the same neighborhood that we had expected. So maybe we'll have a little more luck with the long-term offers that we made to those 2 gentlemen. And although I have never until this series played out games individually in my videos for OOTP on YouTube, and I have very rarely ever done it outside of YouTube, it has become a bit of a tradition where opening day we play out the game for the Buffalo Wings, and we're going to do that again today. It's going to be a little interesting because I didn't manage my spring training roster all that close, and it looks like Ohtani pitched right near the end of spring training, so we're actually not going to be starting our number 1 starter today. We're going to be starting our number 2 pitcher, Andrew Painter, but will be interesting to see what we can get out of him and what we can get out of this revamped roster for the Wings on opening day. We have won both of the previous games that we managed on opening day 2026, the first game in history of the Wings, and then opening day last year. Obviously, as I talked about, we went on to still be in the low 70s and win each of those seasons. So winning on opening day hasn't meant that we're going to win more than we lose over the course of the season, but hopefully we can get this season off to a good start today and also set the team up to finally have a winning record this year. And we had games at home each of our first two seasons. Going to be kind of interesting this year going on the road against Pittsburgh. So they will have potential last licks in the bottom of the ninth. Hopefully we'll be able to score early and often. We are going up against the right-handed pitcher, Jack Frankel. So we've got our team that's a little light on defense, but hopefully really good offense on board. And we're going to get things started with our buddy Deshaun Seifu. Makes it out to get the game started. Batting second, left-handed hitter Marcelo Meyer making his debut at shortstop for the Buffalo Wings. So after the fly out to center field by Meyer, that gives us Vance Honeycutt, number 3 hitter. Let's see if he can get things started for us. Not to be the case. So a inauspicious 3 up and 3 down start to the 2028 season for our Buffalo Wings. Andrew Painter, as I mentioned, on the mound. 11 and 15 last year with a 4.57 ERA. A guy that we picked up trading away the top prospect in our system before last season. Hopefully he can be even better this year because he's a guy that we are definitely trying to build around. Going after Tamar Johnson to lead things off for the Pirates. And he starts off the season for the Pirates with a single. He's got a little bit of speed, so we're going to throw over to first, try to keep him close. We're going to set up a pitch out. Oh, and he was going. Well timed. So that pitch out worked well. Erased the runner. It says he's out. Looks like he's still standing there. Okay, he's jogged off now, so that's good. Can tell I don't play a lot of games out. So that lets us go right after Jackson Merrill. Struck him out. And now the number 3 hitter, Max Clark. Struck him out as well. So gave up the single, got the caught stealing, and then 2 strikeouts in a row to get the season off to a good start for Painter. Cleanup hitter, the rookie Samuel Basallo, making his major league debut, as we talked about, combined for 34 homers last year between AA and AAA. Strikes out in his major league debut. Jace Barofin, who's looking for more money than we had offered him, up next. Knocks it to center field, but knocks it right to the center fielder for an out. Jason Dominguez makes the play. And Nick York, back on the Major League roster at the start of the season this year, unlike last year, knocks it to second base. So 3 up and 3 down again for the Pirates here in the top of the second. Moving on to the bottom of the second, Jason Dominguez, cleanup hitter for the Pirates, up. And Painter walked him. Jason Dominguez, pretty proficient at stealing bases, not the most incredible speed in the world. We'll still throw over, try to keep him close. And we'll try to put the infield at double play depth with the runner on, and we'll go ahead and pitch to Jared Kelnick. Ugh. Alright, looks like a potential wild pitch there, but Murphy, with his good defense, knocked it down. Ooh. Murphy, he's showing off that arm, his second caught stealing. So obviously we don't need to be at double play depth anymore. And Kelnick drives it to right field for the second out of the inning. And Kyron Paris up now. Another walk. So a lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts thus far. We'll throw over just to try to keep Kyron Paris honest. Don't know if he's going to be running with 2 outs, so we'll just go ahead and pitch to Andy Rodriguez now. Looks like he was running, but got the play at first. So get out of another inning. At the end of 2, it's scoreless between Buffalo and Pittsburgh. And hopefully we can get some offense going here in the top of the 3rd. Takao Ota, free agent acquisition, making his major league debut. And he grounds it out to second. Kevin Made, who, as I talked about, is now our 3rd baseman, up next. He draws the walk, so we have our first base runner for the Buffalo Wings here with 1 out in the top of the 3rd. Sean Murphy, the excellent defensive catcher, is up. Don't know about... I think we're just going to swing away with him, not get fancy. Ooh, looks like we got a wild pitch, so that was positive. Allowed Made to move up to second base. And Murphy drills it to the gap while making his Pittsburgh debut at the plate. A 1-run double. First runs of the season for Buffalo, thanks to the big hit to the gap in left field by Sean Murphy. And that lets us bring up Deshaun Seifu with a runner on second and an opportunity to maybe add some more. And Seifu looks like he makes the play right by the left field stands. So Marcelo Meyer up with 2 outs here. And Meyer grounds out to second. So the wild pitch, the walk followed by the wild pitch, followed by the double by Murphy, did allow the Wings to score a run. First hit of the season for the Wings, first run of the season for the Wings, and we've given Painter a lead. Let's see if he can maintain it here in the bottom of the 3rd. O'Neill Cruz grounds to second. Willie Adams grounds it to short to Meyer. Gonna have to make the throw, and he does. And now Termar Johnson back to the top of the order. And it looks like he crushes that. Solo shot. So Termar Johnson, who started off the game with a hit for them and then was caught stealing, drills a solo shot to right field to tie things up. So Painter going to go after Jackson Merrill now. Hopefully get out of the inning. No, he gives up another hit. We'll go back to double play depth, just give ourselves the option to go to either base a little more easily, hopefully. Pitch to Max Clark. And got the job done. He grounded out to 3rd. So with that, we got a run in the 3rd, but we gave it back on the solo homer. So we are tied at 1-1 as we head to the 4th. And Vance Honeycutt to lead off for Buffalo here in the 4th. Grounds it out to first. 1 away. Let's see what Samuel Basallo can do after striking out his first major league at-bat. Flies out to center field the second time around. And now Jace Barofin with 2 outs. Oh, hit by pitch. Ooh. They have to take him out of the ball game. So that's not great news. Let's figure out who's going to come in for Barofin, and hopefully it's not a real significant injury. And we're going to bring in Nolan Jones as our right fielder, give us another left-handed bat against the right-handed pitcher. Who knows whether he'll even still be on the mound when it's time for Jones to come up again, but maybe we can get something going here with 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Nick York at the plate now with the runner on first. And he flies out to center field, so had the injury to Barofin, which we don't like, and we didn't score any runs. So we head to the bottom of the fourth. Painter on the mound against their cleanup hitter and center fielder Jason Dominguez. Struck him out. Go after Kelnick now. And it looks like a fly out to right field. So 2 up, 2 down. Kyron Paris now. And he went the other way to single to right field with 2 outs. We'll throw over to first to try to keep him close. And then we'll try to go after Andy Rodriguez to get out of the inning. And we did strike him out. So 1-1 as we head to the 5th. Takao Ota up for the Buffalo Wings with the second at-bat of his major league career. Grounds out to third, or short actually. Kevin Made up. Flies out to right field. And with 2 outs, Sean Murphy, who drove in our 1 run with the big double a couple innings ago, grounds out to short to end the top of the 5th. Moving to the bottom of the 5th, Painter, 69 pitches into the game, probably can get at least 1 more inning out of him. Going after O'Neill Cruz, and it looks like a single for O'Neill Cruz. So, Painter's given up 5 hits now. He's walked some guys. Hasn't been the best performance in the world. And he threw over and did not make the play. So our weak defense perhaps at first hurt us, but it looks like it was actually just a bad throw by the pitcher over there that caused the error. But now a runner on second. Just go ahead and pitch away. And that's going to hurt. A hit down the line going to end up being a double that gives Pittsburgh the 2-1 lead. And we still don't have an out in this inning. And we're back up against the top of the order, and Tamar Johnson, who drilled a homer his last time, and Painter is starting to get rocked. That's 3 hits in a row. Looks like probably a third, another double. And they've taken a 3-1 lead on us. And we've got a couple of lefties up in a row now with Merrill and Clark, then the switch hitter Dominguez and the lefty Kelnick. And I've seen enough of Andrew Painter at this point. Not a great debut to the season for him, but we are going to go to the bullpen. And we are going to bring in our lefty specialist, recently signed as a free agent, Adrian Morjan. We got the lefties coming up. As I said, 3 of the next 4 potential hitters. And we can't let this game get any more out of control. So we'll see if Morjan can stabilize things for us. And got a fly out to right field. Runner tags up, so we got an out, but now they've got a runner on third base with only 1 out. Let's see if Morjan can hopefully get Max Clark. And he pops out to center field. And the run scores. So unfortunately, 2 straight flyouts moved the runner both times. Going after Dominguez now with the bases clear. And nice play in center field by Honeycutt. Nice sliding catch, but still gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th. So not a great situation for our Buffalo Wings to be in. We are down 4-1 heading into the top of the 6th inning. Have just 1 hit today. So hopefully our young star, Deshaun Seifu, can get things started for us here in the top of the 6th. And a little dribbler, but he's got speed, but not enough to turn that into a hit. Marcelo Meyer also still looking for the first hit of his Buffalo Wings career. And he grounds out to first base, so 2 up, 2 down with the top of the order here. Vance Honeycutt. Got to start getting some hits, guys. And he looks like he's going to fly out to left field. So 3 up, 3 down again. Similar to last season, right now our Buffalo Wings are having a pretty difficult time stringing some hits together. Let's see if we can at least hold Pittsburgh and keep the deficit at 3 here in the bottom of the 6th. Morjan going up against the left-hander Kelnick. And he gets him to ground out to third. Now the question is, do we want to keep Morjan in, or do we want to go to a right-handed pitcher for Paris? I'm not so scared of Paris. Morjan has gotten every batter he's faced out. Now, granted, 2 of them were sacrifice flies, but hits it to center field for the 2nd out of the inning. And now going after Endy Rodriguez. And it looks like a pop-up old can of corn. And it's 3 up, 3 down. So moving on to the top of the 7th, Samuel Basallo. Be a nice time for your first major league hit. And he grounds out to second. Nolan Jones now took over for the injured Barofin, gets his first at-bat of the season. And a pop-up to the infield. 2 up, 2 down. Let's see what Nick York can do against Uris Jimenez, the reliever. And Nick York finally comes through with the 2nd hit of the day for the Buffalo Wings. So maybe we can get something started here with a couple outs on the top of the 7th. Takao Ota, the Japanese import. Let's see if that power can come through right here against Jimenez. And it does go. It looks like Kelnick trapped it. So 2 hits in a row here with 2 outs. Kevin Made up against the right-hander. Do we have any options for Made on the bench? I don't think there's any great ones. A couple of right-handers with Bichette and Blaise. I think we could definitely argue that they're both slightly better hitters. And certainly Bichette could take over at third for him, but the first game of the season in the 7th inning, I don't think I'm going to pinch hit for our young infielder quite yet. Made is good at avoiding strikeouts. Do I try to get the runners moving? Put a little pressure on the defense. We're going to try it. And he fouls it down the right field line. And then he hits it up the middle. And with the runners going, that's going to score a run. So Made comes through, 3 straight hits for our Wings. And we are trying to fight our way back into the game. Sean Murphy, who had the big hit for us before with runners on first and third. And we let him swing away. And he strikes out. So we got to run back. We head to the 7th inning stretch, down 4-2. Morjan, we've got the lefty O'Neal Cruz. Are we going to get greedy and try to get another out with him? I think we are. And we probably got a little too greedy. Because he hits a single up the middle. We do have more lefties coming up, but right now the player of interest is a right-handed hitter, so we are going to go to the bullpen, and we will bring in Emerson Talavera for Morjan. Bring him into the game. Get back to the action. We're going to set the infield double play depth, see if Talavera can get us out of this situation. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Second hit in a row. And now we've got lefties up, but Talavera should be one of our better pitchers. So we're still going to try to turn two here. And looks like we've got it set up for the 4-6-3 double play. So that's good. The runner does go to third, but we get 2 outs. And now we've got a chance of getting out of this inning. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. RBI single for Merrill. So we cut the deficit to 2, and they bring it right back to 3, unfortunately. Finally get out of the inning, but only 2 innings left for us, and we've still got a 3-run deficit to overcome. So let's see if Seifu can do something against Yoris Jimenez if they don't go to the bullpen. Jimenez has not been great for them. And Seifu flies out to center field. Might be his last licks of the day. Marcelo Meyer still looking for his first hit in a Buffalo uniform. And gives it a ride to center field, but the play is made by Jason Dominguez, who's been pretty busy out there today. Vance Honeycutt now up. And he hits it out to Dominguez as well. So 3 up and 3 down, and we're down to our final 3 outs for Buffalo. See what Talavera can do. Only made 8 pitches, so let's give him hopefully this bottom of the 8th. And he struck out Dominguez to start off the inning, going after Kelnick now. And he bloops a single to left field. Put ourselves at double play depth and see if we can just get out of the inning right here. Struck him out. So back to facing a lefty, Endy Rodriguez. And picked off Kelnick at first. Sean Murphy has definitely caught some runners stealing, made the pickoff. Has been good defensively and had that big double for us. But now we need to find a way to come up with 3 runs here in the top of the 9th. And we're going against one of our former pitchers, Mike Burrows. Let him go this offseason, and he is making his Pittsburgh debut today. So the young cleanup hitter, Samuel Basalo, still would be a good time for his first hit. And instead he goes down looking. Nolan Jones in for the injured Barofin. Also strikes out. So Burrows getting some revenge against his former teammates. Nick York is potentially the last guy up. I don't think we have a left-handed bat on the bench with the fact that we were facing a righty today. So feel that we probably got as good a shot here with Nick York as we do with any of those other guys. So we'll let him swing away, see if he can get something started here with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Rain is beginning to fall. And Burrows strikes out the side against his former team, so he definitely got the first laugh against us, but we'll see how this season ends up going. Perhaps it's a good sign. We've won on opening day each of the first 2 seasons and went on to have a losing record, so I'm telling myself now we've lost on opening day on the road, and that's going to mean that we're going to have a winning record this year. We'll see what happens. And just not a lot of offense from our wings. York, Ota, Made, and Murphy with the only hits. Made and Murphy with the 2 runs driven in. York and Made with the runs scored. Painter, 7 hits, 2 walks, including home run allowed over 4 innings. Morjan gave up a hit and a run over his 2 innings of work, and then Talavera scattered 3 hits and struck out 2 over the 2 innings that he pitched, but he did allow that run to score for Morjan. We'll find out more in the coming days about Jace Barofin's injury after he got hit by that pitch. And one piece of good news after that opening day loss, Marcelo Meyer signs the extension. Show you the specific details now. So good that we've got the guy that we made the big trade for locked up at this point. He was going to be making about $20 million next year in arbitration. We front-loaded it. We gave him a lot of money up front, so he's going to be 31 next year, and then that number is steadily coming down for the 5 seasons after that. And then his age 32 season, the most expensive year of the contract, team option for us at $33 million if we want to keep him on board at age 32. But we've hopefully got our shortstop locked up for the prime of his career at this point. So good to have that done. Now it's just a matter of hopefully hearing similar good news from Deshaun Seifu, and hopefully good news as far as the injury with Jace Barofin as well. But Otani, Meyer, and Painter are now the 3 guys that it looks like we're going to be trying to build this thing around for the next several seasons. And bad news for Barofin, fractured thumb, going to be out for 6 weeks, so that definitely will leave a hole in the middle of our lineup. We will put Mr. Barofin on the IL, and we are going to head down to Albany for some help. And fortunately for us, we've got some obvious help. Eric Painter was our last cut, guy who hit 21 homers in 452 at-bats for us, had a nice year last year as a rookie, got caught in a numbers game this year, off to a good start with Albany, 7 for 21 with a home run in his first 5 games there. So Pena quickly coming back to the major league team for us. And good news for Deshaun Seifu. He has signed that extension with us as well. You can see we're off to a 3-1 start, so we won 3 in a row after that game that we played out to get the season started. Take a look at the salaries, and I really like what we've got now with Seifu. Got him locked up at the minimum this year, and then have him locked up for 8 years after that under our control at pretty reasonable numbers given what we think he's potentially going to come after that offer on opening day. He's gotten 5 hits in the last 4 games, including a double, 4 for 4 stealing bases. So hopefully his situation and his season will continue to get better. And the first week of the season is in the books. You may remember it started raining near the end of that first game in Pittsburgh. Looks like we got rained out on that Tuesday. But since then, we took a 2-game series against the division rival Marlins at home. And then we took a 3-game series against the division rival Nationals on the road. So a 5-1 start to this 2028 season for the Buffalo Wings. The only time we've lost is when I've tried to manage the game. And with that 5-1 record, we are in first place. And our magic number is 156 games. And it looks like Seifu just had a crazy couple more games for us, up to 8 stolen bases through the first 6 games of the season. He is going to do some crazy things on the base paths for us. hitting 323 now, 10 hits and 31 at bats, scored 5 runs, a couple of doubles, and 8 for 8 stealing bases. His OPS plus and his WRC plus still slightly below average. He hasn't even drawn a walk yet this year. Obviously, hitting home runs and drawing walks are going to be the areas that he struggles at, but everything else, we're expecting big things from him, and looking forward to seeing what he and the rest of these Buffalo Wings can do over the course of the season. Looks like we've got decent-ish performances from Ohtani. Looks like Painter was maybe marginally better in his second game of the year. Bieber, Yinger, and Williamson look like they all pitched pretty well, going 5 solid innings, allowing only 2 runs among the 15 innings that those 3 guys pitched in their first starts of the year. And Bieber will be going again today or tomorrow, more accurately, against Atlanta. So the Wings are off to a good start. Obviously, we've got a long way to go, and we'll find out how the early weeks and months of the season go in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.